All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, Coach Mack McCarthy. We'll talk some hoops. We'll talk some NASCAR. Maybe I can teach y'all a thing or two about the sport of auto racing this week on Pirate Radio Live. Mac, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Very busy. Tournament time and prepping for a whole bunch of teams. And I've got, I think, 10 Zooms today and tomorrow. Just got off one with the Towson coach, Pat Scary, who won the regular season in the CAA. But between coaches Zooms and SID Zooms, I'm going to be kind of tied up here doing what I'm doing with you all week.
I believe CAA tournament gets underway Friday. Is that right?
Friday with a couple play-in games, and then I'll have two games Saturday night and two games Sunday night.
Awesome. It is fun. The tournaments are back. Been watching some of those already as we get
Yeah.
into March, and March Madness is going to be a lot of fun. And we'll start with basketball as following what's going on. I mean, I feel like I bring up Duke with you every week, but are we talking enough about how they are just blowing everybody out? I mean, are they on a path to a championship for John Shire here? Who trips up the Dukies? It can't be just because they're in a weak ACC this year.
Yeah, we're not talking much about them. We're talking about Cooper Flag, and but mostly what everybody tends to drop to the common denominator and say the league is bad or that kind of thing. They haven't played anybody or whatever. But yeah, they're outstanding. They are certainly one of the handful of teams that can win it all. There are a bunch of teams that can make the Final Four, but I don't know how many can actually win it. But I would think they are in that number that you would think you could bet on a little bit to make that championship run.
Kind of the question we've been asking a lot, Coach Mack, as we get down here to the final regular season games for a lot of these teams. Who is the third best team right now, in your opinion? It's been Duke and Auburn pretty much all year. Who's that number three right now, in your opinion?
Yeah, it probably is Florida. It could be Houston, but they still tend to go into. They struggle scoring a little bit, although they're better than they have been in the past. But Florida has just been playing really well, and they have the best win in college basketball this year when they won at Auburn. Fairly comfortably, and so I guess you would give them the nod. But again, tournament time, matchups, somebody being sick, somebody spraining an ankle. It's what makes March Madness so crazy, and the conference tournaments are certainly a part of that March Madness. And every coach I talk to, or every SID, or every player that I talk to, they all have in the back of their mind they could be that one that has that breakout moment and makes a deep run in their conference tournament and or the NCAA tournament.
Mac, have you looked around enough to see, is there a team in a conference only sending one team this year that you kind of hope gets in because they can win a game or two in the NCAA tournament? Maybe we're talking about a CAA team that you'll see this weekend, or anybody else come to mind for you that you hope can win their tournament because they deserve to be in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, and there are several, and a couple of them have I have close ties to, and so I pay a little bit more attention. But Chattanooga has won the regular season in the Southern Conference, and they have some guards that have played 6 or 7 years, I think, and have been around for a long time and transferred back and forth to different places. That they have a chance to beat somebody. They have size. That's one thing that sometimes the mid majors or low majors don't have. Towson has a really deep team. They've never won the CAA tournament, but they played a really difficult non-conference schedule, dominated in the league. I think they went 16-2, won 12 in a row. And the one that probably has the best chance to beat somebody because of their length Their athleticism and the fact that they've got some people who can really shoot the basketball is VCU. Now they've got they've got some challenges in the league. George Mason is awfully good. George Mason might be in that category too. College of Charleston and even UNCW are teams in their league that should they get that championship moment, have a chance to win in the NCAA. And of course, College of Charleston and UNCW have been there before and done that. They've beaten people, and so has Chattanooga, and so has VCU. So probably that's why they're on the top of my list.
Does VCU? I believe I saw they had a number beside their name right now, right? Does that help them as far as an at-large goes, or is that completely beside the point? They could still find themselves being left out if they slip up in the conference tournament.
It certainly helps, but their problem is the fact that nobody will play them, and that gets to be an ongoing thing. And, we faced the same thing when I was at VCU and at Chattanooga, and when people stop playing you because you're good enough to beat them, especially when they won't play at your place at all, you sometimes might run into them on a neutral court. When you look at their resume, I think they're literally 1-1 against quad one teams, and that's not a great resume. They have a really good record. They have a great name, have a great reputation. They have a really good basketball team, but I don't know if that's enough to get them in if they don't win the tournament or not. And I think the same thing probably applies to the other good team in that league, George Mason.
Mack McCarthy joining us. Coach Mack was on hand to see East Carolina knock off Charlotte on Sunday at the regular season sweep over the 49ers, who are having a bad year this year, but good to see East Carolina beat Charlotte after losing to them twice last year. Pirates are still in that sixth spot, but could finish as high as 4 if they take care of business and if UAB knocks off Tulane here down the stretch. I was going to see if I could find the AAC odds. I don't see them in front of me, but obviously Memphis is going to be a favorite, and then you got UAB and North Texas. It's going to be a one-bid league, it appears, but that thing's going to be wide open at Dickies Arena when they get going next week.
Yeah, great site out at Dickies Arena, and then Memphis, like you said, is the favorite, but they've shown a little vulnerability, and again, the matchups matter so much. I was talking with Pat Scarry from Towson, like I mentioned, and they're going to play the winner of two teams that really gave them fits. A team that beat them without their best player in Elon, and a team that always is tough for them, Drexel, that they played twice a year and have for a long time, and then of course they've got the monkey on their back that they've never won the tournament, and you're talking about some of the same thing for it's been a while for anybody except Memphis, in that group that you mentioned, that to have won the tournament, you got to get through that psychological situation too.
Yeah. Coach Mack, thoughts on Rick Pitino now winning a regular season title with his 5th different team? Did you think he'd be able to bring success to St. John's so quick?
Isn't that crazy? 5 different teams he's won a conference championship with, and that's pretty amazing. Of course, he's done a lot of amazing things. If you just look at the resume, he's pretty impressive. If you add in the other things, then you've got question marks. But there's no question. And the funny thing right now is you wonder how many schools around the country passed up an opportunity to maybe hire a Rick Pitino and are now thinking, gosh, maybe we should have bitten the bullet and gone ahead and hired this guy.
I mean, our team's saying the same thing about Will Wade right now, who is once again putting up tons of wins at McNeese State and will likely go somewhere. It's almost like these guys get fired because of transgressions, and you just have to know when to go back and go back in on them, I guess. You know that at some point they're going to get another job. It's kind of scary if you're the first team to go after them because you're going to have to face the backlash, but somebody's going to do it and somebody's going to win. It's just a matter of, are you kind of brave enough to make that move?
That's exactly what it is, and Patino came back after getting run out at Louisville, and then he coached a couple years in Greece, and then got the Iona job. So it was a little bit more palatable for St. John's to go ahead and hire him. But again, some people passed on him. Some people with job openings passed on Rick Pitino, and the same thing has happened with Will Wade. But I think you're exactly right. It's time, and somebody is going to hire Will Wade in this round of openings.
Speaking of, guys, checkered past hirings that's available, what is Greg Marshall doing right now?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know, but that's another one that his stuff was a little different than NCAA violations, but the NCAA violations, as it comes to extra benefits and paying players and all that kind of thing has become like a moot point
Yeah.
because NIL now it's legal kind of thing. But the other thing, it may still hang around a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody doesn't take that challenge on.
Mac will be on the call for the CAA tournament. Mac, if there was let's say a non-power conference tournament you could call, do you have a favorite out there? There's Arch Madness going on. There's all these different. I love the format of the Sun Belt tournament. It's just a
Yes,
gauntlet.
yes,
So
yes.
like you've got all these unique ones out there. Anyone that you would like to call one day?
I don't know. The Sun Belt one is really intriguing because of playing. The bracket is like it doesn't fit on one piece of paper. It doesn't even
No.
fit on a legal piece of paper. If you haven't looked at their bracket, you should do that. But I really enjoy the CAA. First of all, for the first 6 years I did it, it was in Charleston, which is a great city to go to. And now for the last 6 years, it's been in D.C., which again, for different reasons, is an interesting city too. But I really enjoy. This is my 12th year doing the CAA, so I'm just going to stick with saying them.
I guess Towson will have some Maryland fans attending. Who's going to have fans in the building? Who's going to be the loudest, you think, coming up this weekend?
Well, Towson isn't too far away, but UNCW travels well. The College of Charleston travels well. UNCW really travels for a team from any distance, probably as well as anybody. But Towson being just an hour up the road, and having a really good year, I would anticipate them bringing some folks too.
Mack McCarthy joining us. This is March as we get ready for the NCAA tournament. Got the conference tournaments coming up first, and before that, for some schools, including East Carolina, still 2 games left to go in the regular season. How about the women's side, Coach Mack? We've seen some different number ones this year. Is this thing a little more open, maybe, than years past, with candidates to cut down the nets at the end of it?
I think it is. You got names like UCLA and USC from the West Coast. South Carolina, LSU. Probably the best two in the SEC. You've got really one kind of dominant team, Notre Dame, in the ACC. Although lately NC State has really played good basketball too. Connecticut looked like they were kind of marginal when it comes to the top 4 or 5, but it looks like they're in the picture too. But I think it is open, and I think there'll be some upsets. I think you'll see some folks that maybe you hadn't paid any attention to come through and win basketball games in the tournament.
Kim McNeil, maybe a lesser scale, but the women's Izzo in a way, as they tend to wake up come this time of year and go on runs, and picked up a nice win against South Florida the other day. So your former neighbor, Coach Mack, tends to
Yeah.
coach her best teams at this point in the season, and excited to see if they can flip that switch again once the tournament begins.
Yeah, I think Kim has a unique attribute that really helps her this time of year. Their defense is very complex, and it can really cause you a problem. Sometimes during the course of the season, you're playing teams that are very familiar with it, that kind of thing. But on a short preparation, got to play tonight, you got to turn around and play again tomorrow. That can be really tough, and it doesn't surprise me that they've been fairly successful in the tournament. And once they get into if they can win and get into the NCAA, that they'll be a tough out for somebody.
But Mac, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we like to complain about things here when we talk to you every week. So let's fix something about March. What could make it better? Do you give more to a regular season champion, more so than a conference tournament champion? Do you expand the field, shorten the field? How do we make it better? How do we improve March, in your opinion, Mac?
Yeah, for the smaller leagues, I really think the regular season champion should probably be the designated representative. And if somebody gets in there and makes a run, and I know that's tough to sell, and maybe you don't even need the conference tournament for the lesser leagues, to be honest, because you're not always sending if you're the old Trans America Conference, just to pick one out of the past. So I'm not picking on anybody. You want to send your best representative because it makes a difference to the league financially and everything else to have a chance to win games in the tournament. So some of the leagues are not sending their best representatives, and I think that's a problem. I used to think that you should be 500 or better in your league before you can get in the tournament, but I'm not sure that applies anymore because some of these leagues are so big and the schedules are unbalanced that I'm not sure that that's fair anymore. I used to be pretty adamant about if you can't go at least 500 in your league, you shouldn't be in the NCAA tournament. I might have to backtrack on that one a little bit.
Well, there's going to be SEC teams below 500 that get in, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, one thing we do need to fix eventually, we cannot have 16 seeds that won their conference tournament playing in Dayton. They deserve to be in the tournament. Can we
Yeah,
agree on that?
yeah, I think so. That's that should probably be for the at large teams that are chosen
Yes.
that are not conference champions because some of the leagues are always going to Dayton. Now you can argue that they have a chance to win a game in advance where they won't if they're in the main draw, but I'm kind of on your side on that one.
All right. I like to hear that. Mack McCarthy joining us. Let's see. Anything else basketball? Jarrett, any basketball related stuff? We're pulling for North Alabama to win the A-Sun. That's kind of our team.
Yeah.
They were the team that when they knocked off ECU earlier this year, it made me quit ECU basketball. I was like, how are we losing to North Alabama? And then you started to watch them and see they've won 22 games and say, all right, that's our best loss of the year now to North Alabama. So,
See, and you know better than that. And
well,
and we also know that, I should have been able to pull that out of my head somewhere. They are in Florence, Alabama.
okay, now we know. We're learning a lot about them.
And you said you took them to win the tournament yesterday at what, plus 200?
Yeah.
They're now plus 250 after beating Austin P by 26 points.
Yikes. So Lipscomb, the big favorite in that A-Sun tournament. All right, guys, let's talk some NASCAR. 3 weeks in, 3 winners for Clip Rock Racing. Christopher Bell does it again. And Jared, how about a model of consistency, my team, and what they were able to do Sunday?
Yeah, another dominant performance for you. Going into this week, you led with 5 points. Mac at 1, myself at -2. And thankfully for me and Mac, there was no DNFs. So we at least didn't go down in points.
Well, do you have an update on the standings?
Yeah, you won. You had Christopher Bell. You had the best average with 8.2. You had 4 drivers in the top 10. And Mac's average was 15.6. My average was 16.6. So another 5-point performance. You're now at 10. Mac still at 1. Myself still at -2.
Man, big lead after 3 weeks. Things can change, of course, quickly, but very pleased with where I'm at right now. Coach Mac, what did you think of the first road course race of the year?
I didn't get to watch a lot of it. I had to watch a lot of basketball on that day. Was on the phone a lot, prepping already. But what I saw of it looked like it was, fairly entertaining race. But we've got too many road courses, too many rovals. No, shouldn't have any rovals, and we got too many road courses. And I'm going to stick by that, even though the racing apparently was pretty good on Sunday.
All right,
I
Jarrett.
I don't have any complaint about the course itself. It's just the production from Fox. It is god awful. They don't run you through the. I mean, I get they have like the who's where in the race, like up at the top and on the side sometimes, but the announcers themselves do not run through it consistently throughout the race, and then just like the shots they decide to put on the TV. You got Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell fighting for the lead, and the camera just cuts to something completely unrelated to the race. That's my only complaint.
All right.
Jared, would evaluate the announcing crew, not the production, but the announcing crew of Fox.
I think Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer do a phenomenal job, but there are some points where it's just like, can you take me through this? Don't assume that I know everything about racing.
Huh.
Yeah, and I'll throw this in to follow up on what you're saying is, while Larry McReynolds drives me crazy because he can't speak English, the crew chief, he or Letarte or somebody, their point of view is valuable, if not in the booth, at least on a regular interval during the race.
All
I agree.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Mac, do we like Phoenix? Are you excited about this weekend?
Love Phoenix, love Phoenix. Yeah, it's a real racetrack.
Why? Why do you say that?
But it's the first one. The first two are super speedways, even though Atlanta's only a mile and a half. Daytona is a crapshoot. Atlanta is now a crapshoot. We got a road course in Coda. This is the first race of the year for me.
The NASCAR season begins Sunday for Mack McCarthy when they race in Phoenix. All right, who are the favorites, Jared and Mac? Who do you like this weekend?
I mean, you can't go wrong with Denny Hamlin, I feel like. Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, I think, are my three.
Be hard to argue with Hamlin and Blaney and throw somebody else in there. The other one I might throw in there might be Elliott, but Clip has a lead for the reason because William Byron and the 20 car who we talked him into picking, Christopher Bell, they are going to run well in Phoenix too.
Yeah, Jared said before the year he thought Christopher Bell could win the championship, and two
But
wins already.
I think he was the best driver last year, so, I mean.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Any NASCAR basketball? We following anything else, Mac?
Not right now. Basketball fixing to heat up. You got the women's conference tournaments this week, and some of the mid-major conference tournaments this week, and then they move on to the power conferences next week. So no, basketball is going to own me along with NASCAR until the Masters.
I apologize if I asked you this. I asked a lot of folks last week. Have you been to spring training? Do you have any desire to do so?
I used to dream about going to spring training. I've only gotten to go once when the Final Four was in Tampa. We got to go to the Yankees minor league park. I've been to the where the Braves play or where they have played some at Disney, but I've only gotten to go once, and I really regret not having gone more.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe bucket list one day, but I'm not. I don't know if I'm big enough a baseball fan to watch games that have no stakes. But I don't know. Maybe being out in the sun would be fun. I don't
I'm
know.
sure you can still bet on those two.
You bring up a good point, Mac. Good stuff, man. Have some great calls this weekend. Where can we hear you? Where are you going to be?
Flow Sports TV.
Flowing it up. What
Yeah.
about the championship game? What's the championship going to be on?
CBS Sports for the semifinals and finals.
Is that you on the call or
That's
not?
not me.
Uh,
I work with Dave Ryan the first two rounds from CBS Sports. Dave stays and does the final 2 days, usually with Pete Gillen. Sometimes it has been Jordan Cornette in the past, but he's no longer in the mix. But I'm guessing it's Pete Gillen on the call, which we'll just leave it there.
All right. Mack McCarthy joining us today. Thank you, Coach. We'll see you, man.
Thank you, guys.